The boy who refused to give up. In a small dusty town tucked away between rolling hills and narrow winding streets lived a boy named Jimmy. Life in that town was tough. The streets were unpaved, the houses were simple, and opportunities were scarce. Most children played in the dirt and dreamed small dreams that rarely went beyond the borders of their town. But Jimmy was different. Even though he was only 14, he had dreams bigger than the hills surrounding his home. Every morning, Jimmy woke up before dawn. He would sit by the window of his small, creaking house and watch the first rays of sunlight stretch across the hills. He imagined himself somewhere far away, in a life full of opportunities, success, and respect. He longed for something greater than what his small town could offer. But deep down, he knew that dreams without effort were just illusions. Jimmy's father, Mr. Thomas, was a hardworking man who worked at a local factory. His mother cleaned houses in the neighboring town to make ends meet. Money was always tight. Sometimes they didn't have enough to eat. Sometimes Jimmy had to walk barefoot to school because his shoes were old and worn. Yet every obstacle only strengthened his resolve. "Jimmy," his father said one morning as they walked to the factory together, "life is not easy, but you can't let it defeat you. No matter how hard it gets, never give up on yourself." Jimmy nodded, gripping his backpack tightly. He didn't fully understand it yet, but he felt it deep in his heart. Something was calling him to rise above, to push past the limits. The first challenge. At school, Jimmy was a bright student, but the lack of resources made learning difficult. The library had only a handful of books, computers were non-existent, and teachers, though well-meaning, often had too many students to give proper attention. One day, a new teacher, Ms. Clara, arrived. She was young, energetic, and passionate about teaching. She noticed Jimmy's curiosity and determination immediately. "Jimmy," she said after class one day, "why don't you participate in the upcoming national science competition? I think you have the talent to win it." Jimmy felt a mix of excitement and fear. Competing nationally, in front of the best students from the cities? The thought was terrifying, but deep down he knew he had to try. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of hard work. Jimmy would stay up late every night, reading borrowed books, experimenting with ideas, and making mistakes, lots of them. He often felt exhausted and frustrated, but giving up was never an option. "You can do this," he would whisper to himself every night, as the town slept and the winds howled outside his window. The first failure. The day of the regional competition arrived. Jimmy, carrying his small project made with almost nothing, stood nervously in a hall filled with bright students, fancy projects, and advanced technology. He felt out of place. When the results were announced, Jimmy didn't win. Not even close. Tears filled his eyes, but he remembered his father's words. "Never let life defeat you." Instead of giving up, Jimmy went home and analyzed every mistake. He worked even harder, learning from each failure. He realized that failing wasn't the end. It was just a lesson on the path to success. The turning point. Months passed. Jimmy started spending time at a small community center in the neighboring town. There, he met Mr. Davis, a retired engineer who volunteered to mentor kids. Mr. Davis saw Jimmy's passion and took him under his wing. Together, they built more advanced projects. Jimmy learned about physics, chemistry, coding, and problem solving. Slowly, his skills improved, and so did his confidence. One evening, as they worked on a particularly difficult project, Mr. Davis said, "Jimmy, do you know why most people fail? They give up too soon. But you're different. You refuse to give up, no matter how hard it gets. That is what will make you succeed." Jimmy smiled. He knew it was true. Giving up had never crossed his mind. The breakthrough. The next national competition came. This time, Jimmy felt ready. His project was innovative, creative, and carefully prepared. He stood on the stage, hands trembling, as the judges examined his work. Hours passed, and finally, the results were announced. Jimmy's heart pounded. And then, the moment came. The first prize goes to Jimmy Thompson from Westville. The hall erupted in applause. Jimmy's eyes welled up with tears. He had done it. All the late nights, the failures, the hardships, they had led him here. He had refused to give up, and now the world acknowledged his efforts. The ripple effect. Winning the competition changed everything. Jimmy received scholarships, mentorships, and recognition. He could now study in bigger cities, access better resources, and pursue his dreams without limitations. But more importantly, he inspired everyone in his town. Other children began believing in themselves. Other parents realized that their children's dreams were worth nurturing. Jimmy never forgot his roots. He returned to his town every summer, teaching children, sharing his story, and encouraging them to believe in themselves. The lessons of Jimmy's journey. Persistence overcomes obstacles. No matter how difficult life becomes, persistence can break down walls. 2. Failure is a lesson. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, grow, and come back stronger. 3. Mentorship matters. Guidance and support can accelerate your path to success. 4. Dreams require action. Dreaming is not enough. Hard work, planning, and execution are essential. Inspiration is contagious. Your success can light the way for others. Jimmy's words to the world. In a speech years later, Jimmy said, "I was just a boy with big dreams, from a small town. I had nothing but determination and hope. If I can refuse to give up, if I can fight through the fear, the failures, and the hardships, then so can you. Remember, your journey is yours alone, but your courage, your refusal to quit, can inspire the world." And with that, the boy who refused to give up became a man who inspired millions.